gonna go do some work on my private hunting land, so thought I'd just bring everybody along with me. So if private land hunting offends you, you can, well, just stop watching right now. All right, heading out. It's hot. So, a little bit about this property that we're going to. I've been able to hunt this property since I was a little kid. There was a stretch of like probably from 12 years old to 22 years old that I didn't actually hunt here because I moved away. But we've been hunting this place for a long time. The thing about it is that it has changed tremendously over the years. The farmer has gotten rid of the majority of the woods that used to be on the property, and they've also built a couple of houses on the property since back in those days in the late 90s. It used to just have one house kind of out of the way of the property, whereas now they have two houses inside of the block of a property that they own. Some negatives about the property: it's very small amount of woods on it. Some positives about the property: there is a lot of tree lines and a couple waterways that the deer really like. They like them on years that the farmer plants corn on this property. On bean years, I very rarely have a really mature buck that's living on the property consistently. When it's beans, it seems like, you know, early season, obviously, like as in not even in season in September, you'll have some nice deer living there, but after October comes around and we open up here in Indiana, they're gone. So that's kind of the summary of it. Also, the farmer tends to disc over his fields right after he runs the combine through them. So there's very little food on this property once the crops are out. I haven't been here since May, so I'm kind of anxious to see what the crops look like and see what's going on this property. First thing we got to do is go spray the food plot with some glyphosate. I sprayed it back in May with 2,4-D and glyphosate, so hopefully there's not a lot of weeds, but we're going to finish it off, whatever weeds are left in it, with some glyphosate, and then in a couple weeks here in August, I'm going to come and spread some clover in this plot and hopefully establish some clover here. Gosh, I got a lot of crap in this truck right now. Just a mess, man. A messy truck kind of drives me crazy. Here's the food plot. A lot of grass in here. But I think if I hit it with that glyphosate, a lot of buckwheat too. I planted buckwheat in here a couple years back, and I got a lot of residual from that. But I'll spray it again, and then maybe in a couple weeks come in here and spray clover in it, and hopefully the clover takes over from all this grass and stuff that's in here. But I'm gonna hit it with a good dose of Roundup or glyphosate. This little food plot here, I have a permanent stand right in that tree right there. You can't really see it from here, but it usually is pretty good. It usually, if it does well, deer like to use it, especially after the farmer picks the crops and then kills everything up. That seems to be when they really start using this. But I've never had clover in here, so I'm excited about putting clover in here and having something maybe good for early season. Got a lot of sticks and crap to get out of here though, that's for sure. One thing we do have here in this food plot is persimmons. Some persimmon trees up in here, which is another good thing. The farmer actually mows the grass literally right there. I'm like 15 yards from me. So they do frequently come back here and mow and then leave. I've also seen them, like when I'm hunting, walk back here and stuff. So not the most ideal, but it is what it is. There are bucks that come in here. Once it gets cooler out, the farmer doesn't mess with it too much. So, but I am going to position my trail camera, I think. I used to always put it in this cluster facing that way, but there's always a bunch of scrapes down through here. So I kind of want to move it to where I have a better view of the scrapes, because I think a lot of the bucks bed in these tree lines, and they'll come in through here and maybe feed around in here and hit the scrapes and then they leave. And I don't think I get all the bucks on camera, because I've oftentimes had like these scrapes worked up here and never got them on camera up in that portion of the food plot. There's also a really good buck bed back in here that they tend to use, which doesn't surprise me at all, because I think what happens is they can sit back in there and actually smell what's coming down that human trail that the farmers mow, and then you know, if they see us come back here or smell us come back here, they don't come out to the food plot. But there's also a really good tree back that way that I think I'm going to set up in this year to try to catch a buck that's bedding in that bed when he circles around to come into the food plot, because they oftentimes do come up into that portion of the food plot way up there, and the camera doesn't get it. That's the problem with cameras, is like they only tell you just a little bit of the story of what's going on these, you know, food plots or trails or whatever you got cameras on. So I was thinking about not putting a cell camera here, but I just don't want to put any more pressure on this plot than needs to be on the plot. So I think I am going to put a cell camera and just leave it and go from there. Let's clean up all these sticks now. All right, I got the food plot kind of cleared out of brush and stuff. I'm gonna throw on this sprayer and get to spraying. All right, so we started off down there, and I told you I had that camera right around the corner, and I'm actually going to put it up here on this far edge of the food plot. I could just see more bucks using this up here. It's farther away from the human trail. It's kind of hidden back here. There's a lot of really good bedding all back in through here. So I think I'm going to kind of clear off all this crap out of here, put the camera up in this little 3-trunk tree somewhere, and then I'll be able to catch anything coming, you know, out here in this direction. So I could also see them making scrapes if I clear it off nice enough underneath some of these limbs here. I don't know, we'll see. We do, mock scrapes get brought up a lot, and I'm going to try to make one right here, I guess, and see how it works. There wasn't really a good spot for deer to scrape up here on this end. There's a lot of low-hanging tree, but there was also just a lot of vegetation around all the tree to where they probably wouldn't want to scrape in them. So I'm just moving some of the vegetation out and making a good spot for them to rub their forehead glands on and then scrape. So we'll see how it works. I'll know pretty quick if it works or not with the cell camera. Just getting all the vegetation out of this area. There. There you go. Whew. And then I'll have the camera in the back here of that 3-prong tree. The only bad part about it is my solar panel probably won't get much sunlight right there. And see what happens. This tree right here is full of poison ivy, so that's nice. I cut some of it out with that hoe, but there's a faint trail you can kind of see, and it's a buck trail, and it goes right back through there, and there's a really big buck bed right over, I don't know, probably 70 yards from it right now. So my plan was, if I'm starting to get pictures of him on this part of the food plot, to come in this back side here. He's bedding down there. I'd sneak in this back side and get into one of these trees and set up on him. Me and Dad thought about putting a cell camera over his bed, but I don't I don't think so. Just don't feel right about it. I want to leave him alone in there. Be cool, but it'd be cool data to see, but this is going to give us just as much intel, I think. All right. Whew. Here's the setup. So I got one of my Exodus renders right here, and then I tried to put the solar panel on the back side of the tree, kind of facing up into this sunny area, so it'll get some sunshine, and pretty good setup. I don't typically put my cameras this low, but I felt like with this vertical tree and all that background cover, I thought it looked really good in there, and it's hidden pretty well, so I like it. It's also kind of facing out towards the food plot, so maybe I'll get some pictures of deer out there mingling around the food plot. Okay, gotta go on to the next spot now and put out another camera, make sure everything else is good. Woo! Well, I picked a day that's going to be 90 degrees to do this, but gotta do what you gotta do. Moving on to the next spot. I can't get to this spot with a four-wheeler, so it's actually this tree line right here. I see a lot of times the bucks will bed on that tree line, and there's always some good buck beds in this little thick area right here. It's not very big, but it's a nice thick area. So when I come into it, I typically come in from that end and come down this way. For today though, I'm just gonna hop in the corn and go around and put up another trail camera somewhere in there yet. Haven't decided exactly where that's gonna be, but we're gonna pick us a good spot. It's all corn this year. That's a good thing. Made it to where I wanted to be. What I got here is kind of four things come together right here. This waterway that goes in between the crop fields. This fence line comes and meets the waterway right here. That fence line meets the waterway. And this creek right here meets the waterway. So I'm gonna probably clear out some of this crap right here and then put my camera maybe in that tree right back there, watching over this little open area. See what happens. There's a lot of crap to clear out, and also there's poison ivy in a lot of these trees. But we'll make do. I got poison ivy wipes, and knock on wood, I haven't been getting poison ivy the last several years, so hopefully I'm becoming less susceptible to it. But I don't know. It's hard to believe for us how allergic I used to be to it. All right, got my camera up right there and just overlooking this waterway and all these fence lines, so should be a good spot. I guarantee you'll get a mature buck on that camera sometime this year. All right, I gotta go to one more area and I'll be done for the day. It's about 12:30 now. It's getting pretty hot. All right, next area. Just gotta drive around the block to get to it. Alright, I gotta drive down this waterway over to that wood edge there, and that's where this last camera's gonna go. The farmer usually cuts this waterway and keeps it pretty mowed down, but right now it's pretty thick and tall. He'll probably cut it right before season. Okay, so there's a little small patch of woods that this waterway leads into, and that's where I'm at. The waterway goes all the way through the woods into that crop field. Now, where we were at a little bit ago, where those 4 points met, where all the waterways and the tree lines met, is probably 300 yards that way. So we're just down the tree line a little farther. Just gonna put a camera on that tree, and there's usually a scrape here, like a mock scrape we have built right here, and we're gonna throw it up over that, and the deer usually are always tinkering with that anyway. So All right, let's get to it. I do like to use these little, on my private ground, these little screw-in trail camera hangers instead of the straps, if I can get away with it. Just hide them a little better, it seems like. And I'm not putting this one very high because I'm actually up on this bank of this creek, and I'm actually quite a bit above the deer right now, to where I don't think it's going to be a problem with them seeing the camera. Plus, this is that new Rival cam, and it has that like look of a tree bark to it. So I've used a couple of these now for the money. They're pretty good. Well under $200, and seem to be working pretty good for me so far. There we go. Pretty simple system. Got full battery. It's flashing green. When it stops flashing, it'll tell you what kind of signal you have, and you're good to go. Should have good signal here though. Before I leave, I got to do one more thing. We built this little shooting house. It's been a long time ago, but if you guys have ever used shooting houses before, a big problem inside those shooting houses is this stuff right here. Wasp and hornets and everything else. They like to live up in there. So about this time of year, I come into this thing and brave the storm of wasps swarming me and get rid of them. So I'm gonna hop up there and do the deed. Oh yeah, there's some in here. One, just had one active nest up here, so that wasn't too bad. There's one right there, but I don't think anything's using any of them except for that one. But I've actually killed a really nice 10-pointer out of this, like a 125-inch 10-pointer out of this shooting house. And this is a swamp back in here, and it was with a rifle, and he was chasing a doe around in this swamp, and he finally stopped in an area where I had a shot at him, and I let him have it, but shot him right out of this back window. It's the only buck I've ever killed, actually, in this and on this property, and in this shooting house. So another bug in here, but chased a mouse out of here too. We need to probably clean this place up a little bit and get rid of some of the carpet. And, I don't know, maybe not get rid of it, but just clean it up a little bit. Oh shoot, there's a wasp. Okay, I'm getting out of here. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed that video. This is just my little piece of private I can hunt, and I'll probably hunt here a handful of times this year, and my dad will too, and maybe Maddie. So that's all I got for you today, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you on the next one.